invocation. Kyle, will you lead us in invocation?
Sure. Dear Lord, we thank you for this beautiful morning that you blessed us with. We thank you for the opportunity to gather, and we ask that you provide us with guidance and wisdom and insight as we're about to hear these cases presented before us to make the appropriate decisions. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And then, does it have video on a PowerPoint? Okay. As we stand up, we're going to say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. Have y'all been able to look over the May 7th meetings? If we have, do we have any motions? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Motion carries. All right, we're going to open our first case file number.
So I need to abstain from the first case file, please.
Okay, we're going to have an abstain.
Yeah.
One abstain. Case file number 2025-03-V. Open the public hearing to consider the approval request of David Veloz, owner, for a variance of section 14-7-7 of the City of Odessa zoning ordinance to allow a structure carport to be built 0 feet side yard setback instead of the required 15 feet side yard setback in a single family 3 zoning district lot 1 block 9 Lindale Addition, first filing 4332 Locust Avenue.
The property involved in this request is located at 4332 Locust. Is that better? The property involved in this request is located at 4332 Locust Avenue. The site is currently zoned single family 3, a zoning district, and is occupied by single family residents. The property is surrounded by single family residential development to the north, south, east, and west. We did send notices out. 13 notices were sent, 0 returned. There was 1 approval and 0 protests. The applicant is David Veloz, owner, and the purpose of the request is to obtain a variance to allow the construction of a 570 square feet carport to be built with a 0-foot side yard setback instead of the required 15 feet side yard setback. The applicant is requesting a variance from section 14-7-8D of the City of Odessa zoning ordinance. Staff analysis of this request is that the property is located within the carport overlay. However, the applicant is proposing to place the carport on the side yard setback adjacent to East 46th Street. According to the plat for Lindale Addition, first filing recorded in 1959, a 15-foot side yard setback was established for lots adjacent to East 46th Street. Staff analysis of this request is that there are no special conditions associated with the property that do not exist for others in the area. The applicant's request to reduce the side yard setback to 0 instead of the required 15 feet side yard setback will create a precedence for the surrounding properties to follow. The property is situated at an intersection which may impede the visibility of vehicular traffic approaching East 46th Street due to the proposed carport's pitch roof extending up to a height of 15 feet. In addition, an existing metal fence encloses the side yard, potentially further obstructing sight lines. The planning staff cannot support the variance request and recommends that the request be denied, that the carport be located at the rear of the property, maintaining a 6-foot separation between the main residence and the accessory structure. Should the board choose to approve this request, the planning staff will recommend adoption with the following conditions. Excuse me. That no other structures or additions may be placed within the 15 feet side yard setback, that the eave of the carport should be kept entirely within the property line, and that the carport shall not be enclosed in the future, and that It shall meet building code requirements and obtain a permit for the building inspections department. I will add that it is within the carport overlay. The carport overlay, the carport overlay ordinance indicates that it can be built in the front. He would have to leave a 5-foot front yard setback, but there are other conditions especially indicated for side street carports. I'm here for any questions.
Any questions for staff?
So Maria, if it's in the carport overlay area, he would be allowed to put it up on the front side, right? Almost where, if he wanted to put it on top of that driveway?
Yes.
So what's the special condition that would need to be met since we are on the corner lot?
So special conditions, I think he has to be observed that 20-foot side, there's a 20-foot sight line,
Distance?
distance on the corners. I think it's from the street, from both streets.
Uh-huh.
So he would have to, that's one of the conditions of the carport overlay.
So pretty much that radius right there on the streets, those are all 20-foot radiuses, so we're pretty much already from curb here to where his driveway's at, that's 20 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're going where he's proposing it, then we have to his driveway over there, that's 20 foot.
Yes.
Any other questions? No? Okay. At this moment, we're going to open this section of the meeting to the public. If anybody wants to speak against or for this ordinance, please step up. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name's David Velosa. I live at 4332 Locust. There are a lot of requirements because of the location. I do have a 7-foot fence already, and in that area there was already a carport there. There's a driveway that was already pre-existing. If you look at the picture. There was already a carport there. We took it down because it was just really, really old and unsafe. So there's concrete that's poured all the way across in that back area. One block up, exactly one block up, is another variance that was granted before, and that home, it's a nice home as well, but it's already been granted. So. I'm trying to just get granted what's already been approved by the council before. Really just trying to protect my vehicles and protect my property. We've been there for 14 years, and all around me, if we drive around that whole area, and I've got probably 20 pictures of carports that have been built very similar, and I've actually gotten down and spoken to owners. Some of them have never even gotten a permit. And I have experience building homes. I have experience as a superintendent building homes, and the carports can be built professionally. It's going to bring value to the neighborhood. If you look at the home compared to the other homes that are a lot of rental properties, there's people there that do care about their properties, like my neighbor, Amber. My neighbor right across the street has a carport. They have a building off to the side, and I just feel that I really want to protect my cars, and with the amount of storms that we have. Now, I can change the design if I was going to follow the roof line. I don't have to do that. If you pull up to that fence, you're already a foot down. If you pull up to 46 and Locust going north, at the curb you're a foot down, so you're already 8 feet up. If I built the carport at 8 feet, it wouldn't make a difference because it would be the height of the fence. So So I'm willing to adjust the carport if I need to. Again, for aesthetics, I wanted it to look nice and follow the roof line. But if I need to adjust it, I will. I just need to protect my cars. So I know that in the front, if we build it, we're gonna have to be way over, and it's not gonna be appealing to my neighbors if we bring it over and I have that front porch area. It's very awkward. On the side, it'd be really nice and clean. You can see the carport's already there, the concrete was already there. So everything was pre-existing. I just want to extend it and make it look nice. If y'all could please consider it.
Anybody else wants to speak for or against? Okay, at this moment, we're going to close this section of the meeting from the public. Commissioners?
The carport overlay was introduced to the city for this purpose, right? To allow citizens to attach carports in the front, and they knew when they passed that ordinance that you were going to encroach on the setbacks. To me, whether he places it, I mean, it's a corner lot, and we're trying to the safety of the traffic. 46th Street, it's not 42nd, but the sight distance is to me fine because we're past the curvature of the radius there, which is 25 feet back, right? And then I fully get that he's trying to, put it in line with the house to make it match, make it look good. That way it doesn't just look like they stabbed on a carport to the house. But my biggest still is that was the whole reason for the carport overlay, was to allow this like this, whether it's in the front or whether it's in the side. So I don't really see, forcing the issue to put it to the front, because he's going to be at the same distance coming in and out of it on the front side, because the driveway is right there at the end of radius. It's a little better on the 46th Street side because the drive into the carport is further back, even though the edge of the structure is right there at the end of radius. But where he's going to be coming in and out, it's further down the street. So, I mean, I think that's kind of where I'm sitting, is that, they introduced this ordinance for this purpose, but yet, if we don't give the variance to do it, it's already been established that you can't encroach on the setbacks and the easements per that ordinance. So in reality, we're really not giving a variance to it because it's already allowed in that ordinance.
I think the variance is because of the,
He's encroaching on the 15-foot side yard
Yeah.
setback.
so it needs
the
to have a variance.
He does.
But that's what I'm saying. In the ordinance, it already allows for you to encroach it, because even if we place it on the front side, there's a 20-foot setback that we'd be encroaching on the front side too. But the ordinance allows us to do that with the carport overlays.
Okay.
So what's the difference in encroaching on the side setback?
So even the side setback leaves some distance for side yard. I do know that the side yard setback, when it comes to the overlay, does allow you to leave at least 3 feet from the eave to the neighbor. In other words, you do have to set your poles on the 5 feet, but leave an
Correct,
eave.
but in this case, we don't have a neighbor, we have a street.
And that's
So
where,
that's-
well, you see, and even on corners, on side streets, you have to have a 10-foot right-of-way. You do have to, he's trying to encroach on all of the setback, not just leave the 3 or the 5.
So I'm gonna have to read the carport overlay
So,
one
I
again,
mean-
because we have 5 foot right away from back of curb, which is the city. Right?
So you're trying to say
The
that
property.
there's a motion on the table, or?
Well, it's up for discussion. I mean, if we're gonna, I mean, I haven't heard from anybody else to say whether, what their opinion is, and that's what the discussion's for here between us, to see,
Anybody else has discussion?
if I need to make a motion, I'll make it to,
So, yes, we have. So is there a motion on the table?
so I'll make a motion to to allow the variance for them to place the carport where it's at based off of, you know, the overlay ordinance that's already in place by the city. I feel that,
Okay, so there's a motion. Are you gonna put the recommended, the 4 recommended bullet points from the city to be part of the motion?
yes.
Okay, so there's a motion to allow the variance with the recommended adoptions, with the 4 recommended conditions for, that was placed by the city. There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any statements?
I sustain.
Motion carries. We're going to the next case. Case file number 2025-04-V. Open the public hearing to consider the approval of the request of Christopher Tetley, owner variance from section 14-7-7 of the City of Odessa zoning ordinance to allow a structure carport to be built at 0 feet side yard setback instead of the required 15 feet yard setback in a single-family 3 SF3 zoning district, lot 56, block 7, North Park Addition, 9th filing, 610 East 95th Street.
Thank you. The property involved in this request is located at 610 East 95th Street. The site is currently zoned single-family 3 zoning district and is occupied by a single-family residence. The property is surrounded by single-family residential development to the north, south, east, and west. The applicant is Christopher Tetley, owner, and the purpose of the request is to obtain a variance to allow the construction of a 378 square foot carport to be built with a 0 foot side yard setback instead of the required 5 feet side yard setback. The applicant is requesting a variance for section 14-7-7 of the City of Odessa zoning ordinance. 15 notices were sent, 0 returns, 0 approvals, and 0 denieds. I will tell you that this property was initially, when the subdivision was created, it did allow for that 15-foot side yards. However, during the time it was amended, that zoning was amended to allow only the 5 feet side yard setback. So they do have a little bit of leeway, which is the 9 feet between the house and the fence. Staff analysis of this request is that the variance will be contrary to the public interest for several reasons. First, reducing the side yard setback to 0 will create hazards and hardships to the adjacent property due to the proximity of structure and will cause flow of rainwater to fall onto adjacent property. Second, it will reduce amount of light, air, and open space for the adjacent property owner and set a negative precedent for owners to place their structures side on front yards. Staff recommends denial of the applicant's request for a 0 foot side yard setback. Instead, staff proposes reducing the width of the carport from 14 feet to 9 to comply with the required 5 feet side yard setback. Should the board choose to approve this request, the planning staff will recommend adoption with the following conditions: that no other structures or additions may be placed within the 5 feet side yard setback, and that the carport shall not be enclosed in the future. The eave of the carport shall be kept entirely within the property line, and that shall meet building code requirements and obtain a permit from the building inspections department. And I'm here for any questions. His drawing did indicate that there's 14 feet. However, the survey shows it's 15 on that area. I'm here for any questions.
So on that one, Maria, how are they gonna enter into that carport?
So, let's see. On that one, he is proposing to perhaps do a curb cut to enter into that carport.
Will they allow us to do a curb cut?
That would be up to Public Works.
So that's widening the drive and extending the curb cut, getting it closer to the property line.
Correct.
Now, the room is fine, I mean, because you can narrow it down to the 9. There's just no entrance to it. So basically now you're making your front carport twice the width.
Yes, and in this area, there is no front, carport, there's no carport overlay.
There's no,
No, sir.
I mean your drive, not carport. Your drive would be double the width, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And
See,
have to extend that curb cut.
One of the drawings there shows the patio uncovered in the back, but it's covered, right? Not that this is part of the variance, but I just wanna make sure I'm looking
No.
at the drawing right.
Yeah, it says uncovered.
Yeah, it says uncovered, but
It's
it's
uncovered.
covered.
Okay.
And your original setback when they did the plat was 15 foot, but then they amended it to the 5 foot, which is
Yes.
typical, the
So,
typical 5.
yeah, it's gonna follow the single-family, zoning
Okay.
requirements.
Per building inspections though, do they still require the 6 instead of the 5? Most of the time it's usually 5, but they upped it to a 6-foot side yard
No,
setback.
there
Depends
is
on the
a,
zoning.
It depends on the zoning.
sorry, but there is a, there was a, sorry, there was an approval when the zoning amendment was done
Mhm.
that allowed it to be 5 feet.
Okay,
So we got the
so we easily have the 9 even.
I found it hard to believe that it was 6, not 6 feet.
Yeah. So we actually have like, if there's 15 foot between the house and the edge there, we actually have 10, right? Because you want to have to stay 5 foot away from it, so we got
9
10
from the
foot.
house.
9 foot.
Okay.
This one that's at the agenda?
That one, yes.
Is it the same on, as far as any overhang into the setback also?
So on side yards, on side overhangs, you would need 24 inches. According to ordinance section 1478, roof eave projecting not to exceed 24 inches into side yard.
So you get 11, well, you got post on your 9, so 9 is the max.
Yeah, and what we're trying to avoid is anything going over to the neighbor's property when it's raining.
Are any other questions for staff? No? Okay, thank you, Maria. At this moment, we're gonna open this section of the meeting to the public. Anybody wants to speak for or against, please step forward. If you could please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. Chris Tutley, 610 East 95th Street.
Yes, sir.
The reason I'm trying to do the 15 is because I have the air conditioner there, and that takes up 4 feet. So I can't get all the way to the house. I'm trying to make it look exactly like the house with brick and everything, so it looks kind of like it was meant to be there. The covered patio is just a tarp for my birthday. But I'm gonna have gutters and everything, so there won't be, and I'll bring the concrete up, so there won't be any flooding to the neighbors.
Any questions for homeowner? All right, thank you.
Sorry, I'm nervous.
Anybody else want to speak for or against it? Okay, at this time, we're going to close this section of the meeting in public. Commissioners, discussion?
You were saying 5 foot, we gotta stay inside that 5. But if the air conditioner's there, it takes up 4. That's just gonna leave you
11,
11 foot, no,
Or
actually
4.
less, cause all we had was 9.
9.
So take 4 off of that, so
5.
5 foot drive.
5 foot drive. I guess the other biggest
Can you get a
question,
car in there?
I think the other biggest question too, though, is, you know, what you asked earlier, if he's gonna do a curb cut, if they're gonna even allow that, because then you get past the minimum.
Then you get,
I
you
mean,
gotta
the
be off
max for
property line.
residential drive is like 24 feet. So I don't know that they'll allow that curb cut anyways over here to drive straight into it. You'd be doing a,
So the question B is, table it and ask if they're gonna allow the curve cut before we can even.
And that could be, I mean, of course, even if you don't do the curb, he can use that same drive
Yeah.
and go in and around, but from the air conditioner to the pole is only 4 or 5 feet. You can't even get a car in there. You can't put the pole any closer to the fence line from that 5.
Mhm.
So it's like, how do you get in anyway? It's only 5 foot with the air conditioner pad being in the way. And we gotta stay on that 5-foot setback.
We can probably, well, this is just a suggestion, probably table it to see what Public Works says, whether he can do that curb cut in the front or also access through the back into the carport in the rear. That's another option.
Go back to the other machine. Oh, back here.
Mhm.
No room, no work grid. I motion to table it to find out more from Public Works and from inspections to see about that curb cut. If they're
There-
gonna allow it.
There's a motion to table. Do I hear a second?
A second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any objections? Any statements? Motion carries to table. Next case, case file number 2025-05-V, open the public hearing to consider approval request of Cheryl Walker, owner, for a variance from section 14-7-5 to City of Odessa zoning ordinance to allow a structure carport to be built with a 2-foot front yard setback instead of the 25 front yard setback in a 2-family 2F-1 zoning district, lot 1, block 125, College Edition, first filing supplemental plat, 1701 North Lincoln Avenue.
Thank you, Commissioner and members. There was 11 notices sent, 0 returned, 0 approved, and 0 denied. The property involved in this request is at 1701 North Lincoln Avenue. The site is zoned 2-family 1 zoning district and is occupied by single-family residents, surrounded by single-family residential development to the north, southeast, and west. The applicant is Cheryl Walker, owner, and the purpose of the request is to obtain a variance to allow construction of a 528 square foot carport to be built with a 2-foot front yard setback instead of the required 25 feet front yard setback. The applicant is requesting a variance from section 1475 of the City of Odessa zoning ordinance. The variance will be contrary to public interest if approved. First, the proposed carport structure will reduce the amount of light, air, open space for the adjacent property owner and set a negative precedent for other owners to place their structures within the front yard setback. Second, a carport will create safety issues for traffic southbound from North Lincoln Avenue approaching the intersection. Staff analysis of this request is to deny the applicant's request for the structure carport to be located in the front yard with a 2-foot front yard setback. The property is located in close proximity with an intersection which might hinder visibility of traffic if the carport is placed in the front yard setback. However, should the board choose to approve this request, we recommend the following conditions, which would require that no other structures or additions may be placed within the 25-foot front yard setback, that the carport should be attached to the main residence, and that the carport shall not be enclosed in the future, and that it shall meet the building code requirements and obtain a building permit from the Building Inspections Department. And I'm here for any questions.
So first question, is this property located in that same carport overlay district?
It is not. It's not
It's
within the overlay district.
Okay.
And another thing is, if it were in the overlay district, the 2-family 1 zoning district is not part of that carport overlay.
Okay.
Any other questions? No questions for,
Maria, on the carport overlays, on the, what we gave, 14 foot was max from the house to the first pole with the 4-foot overhang. That's what we had from the very beginning, correct?
Mhm.
Am I wrong? Okay.
Yes.
But being not in the carport overlay,
Yes.
yeah.
Changes the game.
Any other questions for staff? All right. Thank you, Maria. At this moment, we're going to open the section of the meeting to public. Anybody who wants to speak for or against, please step forward. She just,
Are you for? Oh, okay.
Yeah, nobody's here.
nobody's
No
here
one's
for.
here for.
Okay. We close this section of the meeting to the public. Anybody wants to speak? Commissioners, discussion?
If it was in the carport overlay, the 14-foot would be required with the 4-foot overhang, but since it's not even in the carport overlay, nor in the zoning, really not much we can do. Cause they're not gonna allow us to pull a permit, or them to pull a permit, if it's not allowed to be done. Correct.
Correct.
Does she have another
That's-
garage in?
See, can you pull it back, Jay? Go to the front. There.
On the right?
So
Oh,
she
right
does
down
have
the
a
right.
garage,
That's a garage
it's
door.
just a
Yeah.
one vehicle.
Did they know that we're having a meeting today?
They did. We did notify them. We notify them by mail. We notify them when we receive their application, and we place it on the newspaper as well.
And then do we call them?
She does contact them.
And they were aware that they had this meeting today.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Somebody did speak to them in person and said,
Yes.
She,
okay.
I give them the schedule and I called them again this morning.
Did they answer? Did they answer the first time?
The other day.
My concern is, I mean, if this is a hardship, what is the hardship they're facing? But, I mean, they're not here to discuss what the hardship is.
We do have their application. Carport needed to cover vehicles and protect them from hail damage. House built in 1946 with no garage. Corner lot will not allow side carport. This is all she has indicated on her hardship.
So she has no garage?
That's what she has indicated. My thought is that they're using what they have now as storage, which is,
that's way
but then
beyond
again,
us.
I mean, I'm not sure about that.
Commissioners? Any,
Well, I mean, they have a carport, a garage. And the whole thing about the carport overlay is when you don't have a garage to give you that opportunity to shield your vehicles without a garage.
but they have,
They have one.
but how many cars do they have? Do they have 2 cars? I
That's what I'm
mean,
saying, yeah. But does that, I guess I just go back to the fact that it's not allowed and then zoning is not allowed. So how will they pull a permit either way? If they're not gonna allow it?
Okay, so, do we have a motion? Do we have a table? What,
And it's tough.
this one's a tough one, so,
I'd recommend this, we table it. For one, they're not here to kind of present or explain. It might have just been a miscommunication, whatever. But maybe give them a second chance to come back in and explain their side of it. If they don't, then, then it's a little easier decision to say, okay,
Or even maybe to hear Maria's of what they're talking about zoning and all that, so that they
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I think historically, if the applicant hasn't been present, we haven't made a decision on it.
yeah, historically, we have not made a decision if
Right,
the applicant's
so-
not present.
Right.
so I'll make a motion that we table it, let them go back and talk to the planning department and get further explanation to them.
Okay, so there's a motion to table. You hear a second?
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstainment? Motion carries to table. All right, so if there's no other cases to be heard, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion
Second.
and there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objection? I hope we don't have no abstainment.